Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 117. 5 best unreleased movie soundtracks and final 4 thoughts. Dun dun dun. So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, I want to start things off with my latest top 5 list being top 5 unreleased movie soundtracks. So now you might be asking yourselves, what do I mean by this? Well, if you've ever heard a great song in the movie, and in some cases that song may have even made the movie iconic, or a certain scene iconic, and so of course afterwards you're searching up the song on Spotify or Apple Music and you can't find it anywhere.
You didn't see anything.
So you end up listening to it on YouTube on repeat over and over again, wondering if it's ever gonna end up on Spotify, but it never does. So that's what I'm referring to here. And of course we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Following that, I'll be sharing a clip coming from J. Cole, the rapper, when he recently went on Carmelo Anthony's podcast. And this mindset that he refers to gives me some serious insight as to why Cole is so elite. I of course resonate deeply with this mindset when it comes to believing that anything is possible. And in this clip he ties in Steph Curry and his work ethic. And I just love hearing Cole's confidence shining through. After that, I'll be sharing a post coming from one of my other favorites, Vex King. And this post is all about how there's no one right way to practice spirituality. And of course, this might ruffle some feathers.
I see! We tipped something over! Yeah!
But I feel it needs to be said. No one is wrong for getting in touch with God in their own best way. And as I always love to say, there's various paths to the same destination. Following that, I'll be sharing a clip coming from NBA great Chris Bosh, where he shares some great wisdom on why you should always be writing things down. Whether it be ideas, goals, etc. And seeing it on paper makes it feel real and it's going to help you to put those things into action. And finally, I'll be doing our sports recap. We have March Madness, MLB, NBA talk, etc. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, it must mean that you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts in the video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links to purchase it are on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEISS.com. Buy the book, support me, and make sure to check out all the awesome shirts in there as well. Every shirt has been designed by me, every shirt is made of 100% organic cotton, so any support at all, as I'm always saying, would be very greatly appreciated. So let's dive deeper into this rabbit hole now. So now, as you guys already heard about during the intro, I want to start things off by talking about my latest top 5 list, which is top 5 unreleased movie soundtracks. Have any of you out there ever heard a song in a movie, and then you look for it on Spotify, you start searching all these different albums, and it's just not there, so you have to listen to it on YouTube over and over again. And trust me, if you read the comments on any of these songs on YouTube, it seems to be a pretty common occurrence. Well, that leads me to this list. So first up, we have the song from the Jimmy Neutron movie called Go Jimmy Jimmy by the late Aaron Carter. So the chorus on the song absolutely slaps. Now, to be clear, I don't actually know a ton of the words when it comes to the raps in the song. And I have seen a lot of comments that are hating on the raps in that song. But for me personally, I think the whole song is fantastic. I just don't understand most of the lyrics. During the rap part, at least. But the chorus, Go Jimmy Jimmy, that's the voice I hear inside. Everybody's called. Skip ahead, go Jimmy Jimmy, to the rescue through that big blue sky. Be back before I leave, it's Jimmy Neutron time. Where are all my fellow 90s kids and 2000s kids at? I mean, come on, you can't tell me hearing that song doesn't bring back some serious nostalgia. Number 2, I gotta go with the classic hype song from the movie The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, Here Comes the Boom. So of course that song is by Nelly. And I'm sure for all my fellow fans of the movie, you guys know exactly the scene I'm talking about. Where all the brothers, for lack of a better term, are joining the less talented whites, for lack of a better term. And so of course you have Michael Irvin, you have Nelly, you have Terry Crews, all walking up in slow motion to join the football field. And that song plays, iconic moment. And then of course Michael Irvin goes, this better be worth it. And then Adam Sandler goes, I guarantee it. Now how has that song not been added to Spotify all these years later? Boom! Hey! Whoa! Here comes the, y'all don't really want it now. Boom! Or of course my favorite line from the song being, I'm looking to my right, trying to see who's left. Fire. Number 3, we have the song coming from the credits in the movie Pacifier, which is of course a movie starring Vin Diesel, and the song I'm referring to is called Ordinary Superhero.
Ordinary, everyday superhero.
And the song is by Smash Mouth, R.I.P. Steve Harwell. But this song happens to have like a really beautiful message, and it honestly fits the movie perfectly. I'm just your average, ordinary, everyday superhero. Nothing more than that. That's all I really am. So this song is like all about like all the superheroes who don't wear capes and like who don't have special powers, but how you can still be a hero even without all that. Number 4, I'm going with the song Do Your Thing by Queen Latifah, and like the song is like in the credits of the movie Bring Down the House, a super underrated, hilarious movie, one of my all-time favorites, starring Steve Martin and Queen Latifah. And of course you also have Eugene Levy, and you also have the kid from 2.5 Men. Absolute gold with all like the black and white race humor.
Excuse me, homeboys.
But this song in the credits is like so good. It's all about like overcoming doubters and haters and doing your thing anyway. Go and do your thing, 'cause people will talk. Baby, it's the way that you walk. And then Queen Latifah comes in with like, it just seems to me that people ain't who they claim to be. I combat that with positive thinking. Something along those lines. Anyways, great song. Super positive rap song. And finally, coming in at number 5, I'm going with the song from one of my all-time favorite animated movies, Shark Tale. The song Good Foot by Justin Timberlake. And of course, I know like he's been going through a lot in recent years, but early 2000s JT was fire. So many great songs, and like this song is no different. And so once again, it's a shame that like it was never released on Spotify or any of like his other albums. And so this song plays during the scene when like they're trying to hide Lenny in Oscar's shack, I guess. But then the song plays, which is like an absolute vibe.
Everybody just give them a good foot.
And of course, produced by Timbaland. Sang by Timberlake, produced by Timbaland. Classic 2000s. Ain't nothing to it. Get out your seat like ain't glued to it. Instead you gotta watch that tone. Let's all sing along. Everybody just get in the good foot. Absolute vibe once again. Anyways, what do you guys think of my list? And like, did I miss any? Let me know in the comments below. Now next up, I want to share a clip coming from J. Cole when he went on Carmelo Anthony's podcast recently. And this clip is all about like his mindset and believing like that anything is possible. So let's check this one out together.
That's why I love Steph so much, because it's like compared to the average NBA player, 6'6", 6'7", freak of nature, boom, boom. He more of a regular size in the league. You know, I stand next to Steph, I'm like, damn, my height. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't little, but he maxed out his ability. Okay, if I work harder than everybody else, I can max my abilities out, and then I got a fair shake and a fair shot. So I love that about basketball too. Although I never reached them heights, I like the fact that maybe I could if I worked this hard. You know what I mean? Like,
I love the maybe I could from you.
Chance, like, not Steph literally, but my point is like, yo, life is fair. We started on the same plane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Had I worked as hard as you in basketball, it would have given me a shot to achieve what you achieved.
Now I share like a very similar mindset to Cole. And like when I was listening to the full podcast, Cole actually said something else that was like really interesting. And what he said like shows me exactly why like he's so successful. He was talking about like his own basketball journey, and he said like his mindset was always, can I? Whenever any challenges presented themselves to him, or something out there that like he wasn't supposed to be doing because like he was an underdog, similar to me, and so like as an underdog who loves proving the haters wrong, his thought was always, can I? This is my exact mindset. And like doesn't mean that everything is meant for me, but I love it how like when I'm thinking like anything is possible, and someone comes up to me, doubting me, hating on my dreams, which has happened like plenty of times over the years. But this is exactly why having quote-unquote delusional confidence is the key to big success. And this is why like Cole's not only a top rapper, but he also like achieved his goal of playing pro basketball. Supposedly he worked non-stop with Chris Brickley, NBA trainer who I've referenced on here before, and he showed himself like he could do it. And I'm all about this mindset, like, and all about having delusional confidence and, like, staying curious. What if What if I could dunk basketball despite being only 5'6"? What if I could have a successful podcast? What if I could, like, create my own clothing line? What if I could be, like, a great undersized athlete, like, in basketball player? What if I could write my own book? And taking it back, like, to this clip in particular, I love how, like, he says seeing Steph Curry makes him think that, like, if he put in that same work, he could do it too. Or at the very least, like, achieve some level of success similar to that. And this is why, like, I think, of course we're all different, of course we have, like, different strengths and weaknesses, of course we all have, like, different upbringings, but I'm someone, like, who believes that, like, with hard work, anything is possible. Most other people out there want you to believe, like, it's all luck and, like, it's all genetics, and of course those things are a huge part of it, because I'm sure, like, as all of us know, there's plenty of cases where, like, an athlete, or maybe, like, a musician or a content creator, works harder, but, like, someone else out there makes it ahead of them because of, like, their genetics, because being taller. But I like to think, like, if perfect training, and if you do everything right, you never know. You never know, like, where you're gonna end up. And keeping that healthy curiosity and, like, delusional confidence, and belief in yourself, like, I believe, like, that's gonna get you, to the very least, landing amongst the clouds and like, landing on the stars. You may make it to the moon, you may not, but, like, at the very least, you can land amongst the stars. Now, moving right ahead, I have another great post I want to share, coming from Vex King. And this post is, like, all about finding spirituality in everything, and how, like, there's no one right way to do spirituality. So let's read this post together. So the first slide says, if you can't meditate, pause before every sip of coffee. If you can't pray, simply say thank you before every meal. If you can't manifest, enjoy what's already yours. And if you can't journal, talk to yourself in the car. There is no spirituality rulebook, just show up for yourself in ways that feel good to you. If you can't meditate, listen to the rain, let it wash away the noise. If you can't journal, record a voice note. Your future self will thank you. If you can't pray, look up at the stars. Gratitude speaks in silence too. Rituals don't have to be rigid. Pause, breathe, notice, that's enough. Spirituality isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. Even in the busiest, messiest, most human moments, the sacred still lives in you. Sometimes your deep presence, your gentle breath, and your wide awareness are the entire practice. Even in your busiest, most human moments, the same awareness that notices your thoughts, emotions, and experiences is there. That is the ground of your being, that is what you return to. If meditation feels like stillness you can't access, go for a walk. There's no wrong way to come home to yourself. Talk to the sky, whisper it to your tea, forget the rules, your soul gets it. Your spiritual awakening can happen mid-laundry, don't let the aesthetics fool you. And now I love this because, like, a huge pet peeve of mine, and look, don't get me wrong, I'm like someone who's open-minded to everything, and I'm all for live and let live. But this is like an issue I have, like, when it comes to people who are like so focused on like only believing in organized religion as like the only form of spirituality. A lot of people out there become so closed-minded, where it's like, if it's not said in this book, or if it's not like spoken about in this religion, then like it can't be real, or even like it has to be demonic. But I feel like what works for one person doesn't have to work for someone else. And of course, religions do have like some great aspects to them. But I don't like it when people try to impose their beliefs onto others. And I believe that, like, as Vex King just illustrated, there's spirituality in everything. And no one out there can tell you how to get in touch with God in the best way for you. If one person does it like solely through religion, great for them. But if someone else like does it through meditation or getting in touch with nature, being outside, talking with a friend, who are you to say like they're doing it wrong? I think if you close yourself off to just like one thing and one way, you might be like missing out on other paths, like, and other opportunities. And hey, maybe like one day you do it one way, and then like another day like you have another opportunity to do it like totally different way. As I often like to say, 2 + 2 = 4, but so does 3 + 1. And also, like, let's just say one day you only have like a few minutes to yourself. Are you going to be like someone who gives up completely on the spiritual nature of life? Or can you do like as Vex King just said, and like pause between your sips of coffee, or take an extra second like to focus on your breath during that day? Or you can incorporate like a gratitude practice, etc, etc. So like there isn't just one way to be spiritual. And there isn't like only one way to get in touch with God. There is no one correct way.
There is no secret ingredient.
Or one rulebook for everything, in spite of like what you may have been told. Or at least that's my belief. But I think like as a society as a whole, we have to be like a bit less judgy of what works for other people. and stay a bit more open-minded. That's just me, it's my opinion. Try to see what I'm saying and stay open-minded. And now finally, before diving into this week's sports recap, I want to segue with a clip coming from NBA great Chris Bosh, who's been popping up on my feed a lot recently, and he's been coming up with a lot of really great life wisdom. He's of course been through a lot health-wise, but I think it's really cool to see him on a more spiritual path and where he's sharing some wisdom. So anyways, let's check this one out together.
You know what? Writing things down on paper, in my opinion, is going to change your life. And what do I mean by that? When I was in high school, we had big success. And one of the major things that my coach told me about that success was that he wrote everything down to the second with practice. He wanted us to be efficient. He wanted to make sure we worked on what we needed to work on. And that taught me a lot, especially using it today. Sometimes everything gets stuck up here. It becomes too abstract and we forget. Write those things down, whether it's a list, a goal, accomplishments, whatever you need to get done today or this year or this month. Write it down, get it from here on the paper and then it becomes real, but I just wanted to share that with you, and I want to encourage you to start writing things down because I think those things will really help. You'll start accomplishing things and you'll see everything in front of you that you want to get done and you'll get it done. So remember, write it down, okay? I'm telling you, it'll change your life. It changed mine.
Thank you for that advice, Chris. So two of my best habits that are totally in line with everything that Chris just spoke about are journaling and using my notes app on my phone. Now journaling, every single day I write out my goals for the next day and I reflect on all the things I got done that day. And this is a big practice I like to do every night. It's both a mind dump, but also gratitude practice too. Because as someone who at times can be very hard on myself, it's a reminder to me of all the great things I'm doing every single day. And by seeing all of your goals and reminding yourself of all your short and long-term goals often, it's super key to making those things happen. These things are always on my mind because I always want to make sure all my priorities are in the correct place and are leading me towards those goals. And branching off this and branching off what Chris just said, I'm someone who also loves using the notes app on my phone. It may not be as good as writing it out on paper, but it is very helpful for me. At the very least, it gets those ideas out of my head and on something I could look at. And then once it's out there, my mind can now start coming up with possibilities and the path to making those things actionable. And my mind can work on executing these ideas. But whenever all those ideas are staying in your head,
we're just a clever visual metaphor used to personify the abstract concept of thought.
Chances are you're not going to act on them because you haven't actually started the process of taking action on them. But I believe that once you see them on paper or on your computer or on your phone even, suddenly there's some action to them and there's some momentum behind them. And also, as someone who has somewhat of a photographic memory to an extent, suddenly now that idea is etched in my head. And I know I'm going to start acting on it. So very helpful tip, Chris, both for mental health as well as taking action on your goals. And now time for this week's sports recap. Let's go now. So first, let's start things off with that fiery March Madness finals between UCONN and Michigan, where of course Michigan won and became national champions. And honestly, I would have to say rightfully so. So coming into the finals game, I did in fact expect Michigan to win, and pretty handedly. After what that team did to Arizona, at one point being up by 30 in the Final Four, that just showed me how much better Michigan's roster was compared to every other roster in the country. I mean, Arizona was a really good team, and yet Michigan basically made a mockery of them. Elliot Cadeau, the point guard of Michigan, earned the Most Outstanding Player award, and I especially loved how in the game against Arizona, it wasn't about his shot making, but rather his overall aggressiveness and constantly attacking the rim and setting the tone and setting the pace for that game. That was honestly what made him so valuable. Unfortunately, Yaxel Lendeborg was hurt during the finals, but he was playing through it, and he did play a tough game. And he did hit some key shots at the end, but you could tell he wasn't totally himself. Then of course you also the clutch shooting of Trey McKinney, as well as of course the size of Mara. So I knew coming in it was going to be super tough for Reed to dominate for UConn. I knew like he wasn't going to be having one of those 31-27 games like he had early on in the tournament, especially having to go up against like Michigan's size and strength. Now, of course, Reed still did play a great game, and he did still have like a double-double in this one. But I thought like for UConn to win that game, they were going to have to like outshoot Michigan. And of course, Mullins and Carban did have some big shots, but like it wasn't enough. Now, UConn did make this a game. They did make it much closer than like I was expecting, and like I give so much credit to Dan Hurley. His team never quit despite being clearly outmatched. And of course, this win overall is like a huge signal for the new formula for how to win in college basketball. It's no longer really about like player development, but it's about like having a coach who sets the culture and then finding transfers and like enough other talent out there to fit that culture. Because of course, as we all know, Michigan was full of transfers. So congrats to Michigan on the win, and like congrats to UConn for putting up a good fight and like for making it a fun game. Now moving ahead to the NBA, between last week when I spoke about the Lakers, my favorite team, and this week, it's like two totally different worlds. Not only were their hopes shattered when they got obliterated by the Thunder last week, but of course to add insult to injury, Luka got hurt and Austin Reeves got hurt. And Luka's MVP hopes and like his amazing March run were crushed by SGA. And then suddenly, you're left with just like one member of the Big Three. However, that member just so happens to be LeBron James, who yes is 41, but he is the greatest of all time in my opinion. Now I'm not sure like if the season is going to end in a Lakers victory, unless those Spanish doctors could like fix Luka's hamstring fast. However, I will say like as a basketball fan, can we all soak in what we're about to witness from LeBron James? This could be, and like of course I hope not, but it could be like the last time we witness LeBron James as number one option. And he's going to show us like how no matter how old he is, he can still do it. So for the Lakers, it's going to come down to how much the 41-year-old could lead this team and get the most out of the rest of his crew. But at the very least, I do predict like we're going to continue to see LeBron in vintage form, as he showed us against the Mavericks the other night. Now initially, my first thoughts were, if this team can't beat the Mavericks without Luka and Austin Reeves, then like this team is cooked. However, there was like a big difference between the first 1.5 quarters of that game versus the rest of it. The teams showed me that like at the very least they can be competitive. LeBron was insanely good, like I just said, like he was back in vintage form, matching Cooper Flag blow for blow as like LeBron put up 30 points, 15 assists and 9 rebounds, insane. Well, of course, Flag went for 45, 9, and 8. I also love what I saw from Luke Kennard, who had a triple-double in this game, and like his playmaking was on display. I hadn't really seen that like in the NBA from him. And so yes, it may take a miracle for this team to win a first-round playoff series, but I believe and like I have faith, and I'm not going to put anything past LeBron, no matter how old he is. And furthermore, I actually think Bronny may become a rotational piece. He's been looking pretty solid. Yes, of course he had those turnovers against Case and Wallace, but like he's been hitting shots, he's been defending, he's been hustling. So this Lakers supporting cast is going to have to go above and beyond, but we'll see who they get in the first round. Now in some other NBA news, we also like the return of Steph Curry the other night, and like he looked like he didn't miss a step. He went up against KD and the Rockets, and like of course the Warriors still lost by 1, but like Steph was like 11 for 21 shooting. The Warriors are set to make the play-in, and I can't see them winning a series against the Thunder, even if like they do get out of the play-in. But at least Steph makes the team more entertaining and like gives the team a fighter's chance. Now speaking of these guys, KD, Steph, Harden, LeBron, Kawhi. This brings up, is this like the best generation of players ever? At the very least, they are the kings of longevity. And I know like with the whole GOAT debate, all of us have been convinced that like longevity doesn't matter and like it's not impressive. But I find that to be utterly ridiculous. If we only valued a one peak season, then like Brandon Roy should be the GOAT, or Michael Redd, or one of these 30-point game scorers who only did it like once. And that's of course no shade to any of those guys, all those guys are incredible. But being a top player for an extended period of time has to count for something. And it's a testament to like all these guys' dedication to their craft and like all the work they put in every offseason. And speaking of guys putting in work on their craft, Jokic and Wemby this weekend had a battle, and like Jokic won, pulled it out slightly, and like I don't think this NBA MVP race should be over just yet. I think especially with Denver, who just won 9 straight games, Wemby and the Spurs have been on fire, and like SGA and the Thunder. So of course Luka's like probably out of that conversation as of right now, unfortunately. But I don't think like SGA locked up this award by any means. Of course I know like the voters are probably going to give it to him, but I don't think it should be like past Jokic or Wemby to get the award too. I mean Jokic like averaged another triple-double this season, and like yet everyone just takes him for granted. And furthermore, transitioning into the next generation of players, who's the Rookie of the Year this year? Is it Cooper Flag, or is it his Duke teammate Con Knippel? Did Cooper Flag lock it up with like that 51-point game, followed up by like his 45-point game? Now I do think it's very important to acknowledge like that his role is very different from Con Knippel's. I came across a video yesterday that showed like how Con Knippel's points are coming off of like LaMelo Ball creating for him, and like of course there's nothing wrong with that. Being a catch and shoot maestro is of course like, a super important skill. And that's honestly like one of my strongest suits as a player. But we're also seeing Cooper Flag's evolution as like a 19-year-old who can do it all. He can score on post-ups, he can score on pull-ups, pull-up threes, dunk on you. He's super aggressive and like the ball's in his hands most of the time. And of course when it comes to like Rookie of the Year, most of the time we don't take into account like team success. And so based on that, like I do feel like Cooper Flag has been like the slightly more impressive player. But of course you can't go wrong either way. Both are having insanely good years. Now finally, let's head over to the baseball diamond, the MLB. First up, you have Mason Miller in his last 25 plus innings now, having given up no runs and like having over 50 strikeouts. That's insane. His stuff is like unhittable, and like on top of his massive speed, even like his high speed changeups are impossible to hit too. One of the most impressive feats from this weekend was Joe Adell on the Angels, the right fielder, robbing 3 home runs in the game. I'm not sure if we're ever going to see anything like that ever again. I mean, like, what are the odds of that happening? How does that opportunity come up three times in a game? And especially on that last one, like, we end up in the stands and caught the ball. That picture is iconic now. This felt like one of those Wilt Chamberlain type games, with a record like that now can't be broken, where it's going to be like near impossible to break. Now next, I'm moving over to the Japanese MLB contingent. You've got Shohei Ohtani, who's doing it on both sides. He has multiple multi-hit games and like up to 3 home runs now too. He's the best player in baseball, and like I'm not sure if it's even close outside of like Aaron Judge maybe, who's my favorite player. And speaking of Japanese players, that guy Murakami on the White Sox has still been crushing the ball. He's currently up to 4 home runs in the early going. And of course you also have like Chase DeLauder on the Guardians, if I'm not mistaken, up to like 5 already. He's still like super young and he's crushing the ball. And now for some team news, we have my favorite team, the Yankees, off to a super hot start, even though like they did end up blowing that game against the Marlins on Sunday. Cam Schlittler is yet to give up a run. Giancarlo Stanton's bat has been insanely hot. He's hitting like over 400 and knocking the cover off the ball and like denting walls. And Aaron Judge is of course to 3 home runs himself. I like what I'm seeing from them. And as for my other favorite team, the Mets have finally started hitting a little bit. They have also gotten some solid pitching performances coming from Peralta, Clay Holmes. But of course, Soto's on the IL now. And like, if Lindor, Bichette, and Simeon can get things going at the plate, this team may have something special. They actually had like a really nice comeback win against the Giants on Sunday night. And they're currently 2 games over 500. Anyways, that's your sports recap for the week. Let's get back to finish the video now. Anyways, that's the video. If you guys liked what you heard, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Catch you next time. Peace.